Hey Panthers, today we are going to graph quadratic functions with the calculator and without the calculator. So we have a function y equals x squared plus 2x minus a, and this is a quadratic function, and we can tell because this has a little 2 right here. The things that we know about this is because a is greater than 0, we already know that this is going to open upwards. And so that's going to open upwards, and because it opens upward, we know that we have a minimum. And so those are the things that we already know. And so we're going to look for the roots. We want to find the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and the y-intercept. And we don't need a calculator to do all of that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and find the vertex and the axis of symmetry. So we're going to write down our a value, our b value, and our c value. Our a is 1, because that's the coefficient in front of our x squared. Our b is 2, and our c is negative 8. We're going to use our axis of symmetry equation, which is x is equal to negative b all over 2a, and we'll go ahead and plug in those values. We'll bring down the negative from the formula, and then we'll go ahead and plug in these values right here, and so we'll have 2 times 2 times 1, and so my axis of symmetry equation is going to be x is equal to negative 1. So then I'll come over here on my graph, and I'm going to draw a dashed line through x is equal to negative 1. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go find my vertex. So I'm going to go plug in where I have x, I'm going to go plug in a negative 1 so I can find the y value. And so I have y is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 8. I'll plug in a negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1 minus 8. Evaluate that, and so we'll have 1 minus 2 minus 8. And so y is equal to negative 1 minus 8. And so my y value is going to be a negative 9. So now I know my vertex is going to be the ordered pair negative 1, negative 9. So I'll come over here and I'm going to go and graph that. So I go over negative 1 and down 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is my turning point. So I know that I'm going to be opening up this direction because this right here tells me that. I'm going to go find my y-intercept. My y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. So when I plug that in, I have 0 squared plus 2 times 0 minus 8. So I can see that my y-intercept is equal to a negative 8. That is the ordered pair 0, negative 8. And that is going to be this point right there. This axis of symmetry divides everything, my parabola, into equal distances. And so if this point is 1 unit away from my axis of symmetry, then I know I have another point that is going to be 1 to the left. If this is 1 to the right, then I have 1 that is going to be 1 to the left equal. And so now I'm going to go see if I can go factor this, and I can find my roots. So I will set this equal to zeros, and that's where the word 0 comes from because I set it equal to zeros. And so I have x squared plus 2x minus 8, and then I will factor that. And so then I'm looking for two numbers I multiply together that will give me negative 8, and that will add up to 2. And my factors are going to be 4 and 2. And then I need this to be a positive, and this is a negative. I will split these, and I will have x plus 4 equal to 0. I will set each one equal to 0. X minus 2 is equal to 0. And then I will solve for x. So I will subtract 4 from both sides, and so x is equal to negative 4. And then x is equal to 2. So my roots are x is equal to negative 4 and x is equal to 2. So I'll come over here, and I will put them at x equals 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have a root of negative, this is is a little wobbly, sorry about that. And so now I'm going to draw as smoothly as I can. And if you guys know me, I am definitely not a great artist. And so I'm just going to draw my arrows as I continue up and continue up. Actually, that should be going out that direction, not up like that. So these continue going out and out. And so that's what your parabola would look like. Alrighty, let's look at the second one. So the things that I know that this is a -2, so I know that this is going to be a max. So it's going to open down. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my axis of symmetry, and so I'm going to list my A, my B, and my C. So hopefully you are trying to do this with me. And so my A is a -2, my B is 8, and my C is 3. My formula is x is equal to -b all over 2a. And I'll go in and plug those values in. I'm going to write the negative from the equation, and then I'll plug in the rest of these, and I'll have 8 all over 2 times a -2. And then my axis of symmetry equation is going to be x is equal to 2. So then we'll come over here to our graph, and where we have x, we're going to find 2. This is 1, 2. And then we'll draw just a dashed line through x is equal to 2, and that is my axis of symmetry. So now we're going to go find our vertex. We want to see where does this curve, and we'll come back to our original equation. We're going to plug in that x value to see if we can find the y. And so y is equal to -2x squared plus 8x plus 3. So then y is equal to -2 times 2 squared plus 8 times 2 plus 3. So y is equal to -2 times 4 plus 16 plus 3. Y is equal to -8 plus 16 plus 3. Y is equal to 11. So my maximum value is going to be all the way up here at 11. My vertex is going to be 2, 11. It's going to be my ordered pair. And so let's see if we can find that. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm actually going to be off of the graph just a little bit. And so then I'm going to look over here to see if I can factor that. Well, usually if we have a negative, that means that this is going to be unfactorable for us. And so we're going to go ahead and get the calculator out for this after we go ahead and find our y-intercept. And so for our y-intercept, we're going to go ahead and plug in when x is equal to 0. And so we'll have a -2 times 0 squared plus 8 times 0 plus 3. And so our y is equal to 3, a positive 3. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm 2 units to the left, and then I'll have another 2 units over here. So I can already tell that this is going to be a smooth coming down like this. What I want to find out is I want to find out what are my x-intercepts going to be. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to our graphs, which is going to be number 2, and we're going to type this in. So we're going to type in -2x squared plus 8x plus 3, and then we'll hit enter. Anytime we want to do anything with a graph, we are going to go to menu. So we hit menu, and any type of analytics or anything we want to do with it, we're going to analyze a graph. So we hit number 6 for analyze a graph. And then as you can see, there's a whole bunch of things that we can do. We can find a 0, we can find a min, we can find a max. So these min and maxes are going to get you your vertex, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. And so right now what I want to do is I want to find my x-intercept. And so I'm going to press number 1 because x-intercept is called a 0. And as you see this dashed line right here, I have to move it over to either the left or the right. And so I'll move it over. And I just want it to touch one side of it. And so it has to be a little bit before your x-intercept, and you're going to hit enter. and then you'll move it, and as soon as it crosses the 0, you'll see that gray arrow, and then as you can see, my x-intercept is going to be negative 0.345. And so this x-intercept is x is equal to negative 0.345. And then we're going to do that all over again because we have to find this x-intercept. So we're going to hit Menu, Analyze, which is number 6, and we're going to hit number 1 for a 0. We're going to move this over, which we're moving our mouse over. We're going to hit Enter because we just have to touch the line somewhere. We'll move it over, and as soon as we find our x-intercept, this word 0 pops up, and you can see that that x-intercept is going to be 4.35. So then we'll go in on our graph and we'll go plot these. And so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4.35 is right around here, and negative 0.35 is somewhere in here. And so these are not going to be perfect. Just go ahead, draw your line, continue it on. And so that's what your parabola will look like. I also want you to go to Menu. We're going to go to number 6 for Analyze Our Graph. And I want you to go see if you can find a minimum or maximum. So we already know this is a maximum, so hit number 3. And then we're going to move this line over until it hits one part of your line. So we hit Enter, and then we'll move it to the other part. And once it says maximum, hit maximum. And then that should already show you what your vertex is, and our vertex is 211. So I want you to go ahead and practice all of that, and I will put together another little video that will go ahead and show you how to do all of this. All right, so I want you to go practice on this last one, and we'll compare our answers. All right, this is what you should have came up with. And so one more time as a refresher, so what you'll do is that you'll go to your graphs and you'll type in negative 2x squared minus 8x plus 3. You'll hit Enter. You go to Menu. You're going to go to number 6. And then to get the x-intercepts, you'll hit number 1. And then this dashed line right here has to touch your graph somewhere. So as soon as you touch it, you hit Enter, and then you move it across, and that shows you it's 0.345. And then you'll have to go in and do it all over again. So you're going to press Menu, number 6, number 1, and then you'll have to move it over so that it touches this side over here. You'll hit Enter, move it across, and then this says negative 4.35. If you want to find your vertex, you're going to press Menu. You're going to Analyze, and you have to know whether this is a min or a max. And we already said that this, since it opens down like that, it's going to be a max. And so you press number 3 for max, and you just want to move it so it touches your line. You hit Enter, and then you move it all the way across once the word max pops up, and then that shows me that it's a negative 211. And so your graph will probably look a whole lot better than my parabola did. All right, what are the vertex and axis of symmetry of the parabola y equals x squared minus 16x plus 63? So the things we know, that the parent function is going to be y is equal to x squared. We know that it opens up. Those are the things that we already know. And so looking at our answers, we can go ahead and find that A is equal to 1, B is equal to negative 16, C is equal to 63. And so we can go plug those in, and we can have x is equal to negative b all over 2a. So we'll have negative 16 all over 2 times 1. And so x is equal to 8. So looking at that, we can go ahead and we can cross out a few of these. And so we know we're going to be opening up this direction. And then I can go in and plug in, and I'll have y is equal to 8 squared minus 16 times 8 plus 63. So when I go in and plug all that in, I'm going to get a -1. And so my vertex is going to be 8, -1. And so that is going to give me F. The graph below shows a quadratic function. Answer the following questions about the graph. So before I do that, I know that A is less than 0. I know that this point is a vertex, and I know that this is a max. I know that these are going to be my x-intercepts. So what is the value of x when f of x equals 0? So this is when y is equal to 0. That's the definition of the x-intercept. And so the x-intercepts are when x is equal to 2 and x equals -4, or you can write it as 2, 0 and -4, 0. What's the value of x when f of x equals 5? So that's when y is 5, x is equal to question mark. And so we're going to go over here and find when y is 5, we'll go in and see what is the value of x. And so we'll have two values right there. And so x is equal to 1 and x is equal to -3. What is the vertex? And that was our turning point. And so we know that is going to be -1, 9. What is the y-intercept? And right here is our y-intercept. And that is going to be the ordered pair 0, 8. And what is the equation for the line of symmetry? So it says equation, and so that's always going to be x is equal to, and that's -1. Do not give me x equals -bl over 2a, because that's the general one. I want the line of symmetry that goes to my graph. All right, thank you very much.